Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's May 17th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. We're scrolling all the way through yesterday here, and you can see that fairly deep low pressure center here that moved across some of Canada and really tightened up our pressure gradient. Brought quite a bit of wind there yesterday. Had some pretty good gusts at my house, up to 36 miles per hour. Pretty sustained for a while there, over 30 miles per hour as well. SeaTac hit 41. Some areas hit the mid 40s. I saw there were some power outages as well, and you can see our next system already starting to ramp up here across the Gulf of Alaska, and we've got yet another one after that. So we're going to have some thunderstorm activity possible here across the Pacific Northwest over the next few days. We're going to dive into those details as we go through the video this morning as well. Another windy day highlighted here by the Spokane National Weather Service. Check out Spokane, could be gusting up towards 40. Look at Ellensburg, 50 miles per hour. Wenatchee, 50. Moses Lake, 35, Ritzville 40. Look at Walla Walla, Tri-Cities, Pullman up towards 50 miles per hour. Lewiston, Idaho, 50 miles per hour as well. So watch out. Could be, again, some isolated power outages, and watch out for those unsecured objects, and watch out for some blowing dust if you're out and about as well. So taking a look here at the weekend outlook, they do talk about some of the breezy wind gusts here, 35 miles per hour, but even stronger than that at times today. And there is a chance of afternoon thunderstorms here, and we'll go over that in a little bit more detail as well. And of course, cooling down a bit as well as these systems continue to move through. So here's yesterday, about last night, and you can see that system swinging through its powerful pressure gradient. Next one comes through as we go through this weekend coming up here. Not as strong, but that does have thunderstorm potential with it also. We try to nudge this transient ridge in here very quickly, and then it backs back across the Pacific Northwest, and then models have been showing another late season polar lobe dropping down across the Pacific Northwest here. So that'll be interesting as well as we head on in towards next week. We're going to continue this cool showery weather here and get a couple thunderstorms after everything is said and done. If we take a look here, this is the high wind gust since yesterday midnight. Let's see if it'll update. You can see Whidbey Island 46. You can see there's areas that got up over 40 miles per hour, places west of the Cascades. And look at east towards Moses Lake 54. There's some 50 plus mile per hour gusts. Yakima 47, Spokane 49. So yeah, pretty windy day out there yesterday. And if we zoom in on SeaTac a bit more, the peak gust was 41 miles per hour. And you remember the debate we were having yesterday about that, because the European was showing those 40, 41, 42 mile per hour gusts, and the North American model and the high resolution rapid refresh were both showing gusts around 30 to 32. So that's a huge difference. That's almost twice the damage or the force of the wind gusts here between 30 and 43 miles per hour. For example, you double the wind force. So that's a big difference in wind speeds here. And the European just absolutely nailed this forecast. You can see North Bend at 40 also, Renton 36, down south of Des Moines there at 36 as well. Some gusts up towards 40 for places around Tacoma as well. So again, I wanted to show that the European was just spot on with those wind gusts for Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Really dominated the high-resolution models as far as the wind speeds were concerned. So kudos there. And this was the one yesterday. So just run to run, very consistent with showing the 40 mile per hour gust for SeaTac. Ended up checking in at 41. So let's see what the GFS says about what's coming. There goes the system yesterday. Here goes the next one as we go through this weekend. A tiny bit of a break here. Rich tries to nose in, then backs up, and we get this next polar low dropping right down across us. Some chilly air aloft. Thunderstorm potential through next week. We may have some interesting weather to be looking at as we go. So yeah, the weather watcher's eyes on the sky here for the next week or so. Now taking a look at the mean sea level pressure, there went that system there. Pretty power packed pressure gradient here. Still windy across eastern Washington today. And then we bring that next system in here. You see how it's not quite as strong. You don't see any kind of developed low pressure center here, but it maybe get a little gusty at times. Ridge tries to build in for a bit, and then we start to drop this next system down here out of the southeast Alaska here, or out of British Columbia down across Pacific Northwest. We'll be covering that more as we go day to day, but first things first, let's take a look at what is coming here. So as we scroll through the day today, some residual showers out there, but I want to point you here as we go through tonight, still some residual showers out there, and then we start to build some convergent zone potential here across some of the central sound. Lightning strikes across BC, Alberta, the Rocky Mountains, Idaho, Montana, maybe the Cascades, a lightning strike or two. We'll see how that goes. But and we're going to look at the high resolution rapid refresh here in a moment as far as lightning potential. But as we scroll on in through Sunday afternoon, you can kind of see some thunderstorm activity for eastern Washington as well. Now, taking a look at lightning flash density, this is the 12Z run, goes out 48 hours. So we're going to scroll through here as we scroll through tonight, and we're going to head on into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. You can see there is that potential for some lightning, mainly western Washington, British Columbia, higher terrain, Rocky Mountains, Cascades here and everything and whatnot as well. So yeah, we'll be watching that here as we go and getting a phone call here, but I'm just going to ignore it and call them back. Now, taking a look here, this is the thunderstorm outlook. They don't pay a lot of attention a lot of times to us here in the Pacific Northwest, and you can see day 2 doesn't really have any threat for us. Day 1, nothing, and we scroll out to day 3, and it does include Spokane and some of eastern Washington, but that's why you watch this channel, right, is for this type of information. Now, taking a look at the wind speeds, again, just wanted to point out it's going to be windy here, eastern Washington today. Still got the westerly winds surging down the Strait of Juan de Fuca as we go through this afternoon. Starts to wane a little bit. Then we pick it up a little bit more here as we go through Saturday night one more time. But the onshore flow will continue here, so it's not going to allow us to warm up even when we get that little bit of a break here next week. Still that weak onshore flow ongoing. And then we're going to bring that next system and drop it down from the north. Looking at Portland yesterday, 74, not bad. I mean, 4 degrees above average. And the average temperature this time of year is a glorious 70 degrees for Portland, Oregon. The record high for yesterday was 92, set back in 2008. Look at that, 95 in 2008 as well. So interesting stuff there. Seattle, 64, average high is 67, a little bit below average here, and nowhere near that heat wave back in 2008 where we are at 90 degrees here on May 17th. Now, taking a look at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, the temperatures over the next few days, you're going to see this roller coaster ride as these troughs move through. Then maybe a little bit of a warm-up as we go through the following weekend. Don't get too excited about that just yet here. You got to take that with a grain of salt at that range. Taking a look at daily 2-meter maximum temperature. So this is for today, Friday. You can see some upper 60s out there for Willamette Valley, maybe a 70-degree reading for eastern Washington. Not too terrible out there, but tomorrow you can see that the trough is going to make itself felt across some of BC, Washington, and then we try to bounce back a little bit here as we go through Monday, but then that next system, a pretty chilly one out of the north, keeps showing up in the model runs here, and it drops us back down as we go through the mid portion of next week. So again, more on that here in the upcoming days. Total precipitation in inches. So here we go as we head on in through this afternoon, and we're heading on into tomorrow morning. And then this trough tries to bring some convergence zone activity to some of the central sound here, some rainfall and some snow for the very highest peaks there, or higher elevations, I should say, across the Cascades. But you can see some decent amounts across some of the Rocky Mountains. And then we start to look out towards next week as that chillier low drops down across the region. We might get some more rainfall for places like Seattle. Not a lot for the Willamette Valley, but you could get a bit. But you can see there's some decent amount showing up across the Cascades. This would be very beneficial precipitation at this time of year here. We're already dealing with some forest fire activity across portions of Canada. Already a lot of stuff has been burning up there, so this would be beneficial. Hopefully this doesn't start to change here as we go on in through the next few days. And that storm, maybe comes in a little bit weaker and drier. Hopefully we do get that beneficial precipitation. And also looking at total snow here. So as we scroll through tonight into tomorrow morning, you can see a little bit of snow for the higher terrain of Washington. This is a skiff there for the Oregon Cascades and the Blue Mountains. But you can see some decent amounts for British Columbia and Alberta. And maybe that upper level low will bring some meaningful snowfall to the Cascades. We'll see how that turns out. Now, looking at the 15-day precipitation anomaly, kind of a mixed bag here. Not a big signal here, except once you go down towards Oregon here. Kind of a below average signal there, southern Idaho and portions of western Montana as well. Now, looking at 6 to 10 day, of course, with these troughs moving through, we're going to be below average, most likely during this time frame as we go through May 22nd through the 26th. Above average precipitation during this time frame. So hopefully those troughs bring that much needed moisture. And I showed this yesterday. This is a 2-week comparison. Watch the Oregon moderate here as we scroll through this. And I'm just going to roll over that. You can kind of see it got wiped out. A lot of the abnormally dry got taken away also. A little bit of an increase there for the moderate drought across western Washington. But looking up in Canada, there is a lot of areas that have extreme and exceptional drought out there. Very dry conditions. Forest fires already ongoing. So hopefully these troughs can bring some meaningful and beneficial precipitation. And the seasonal 3-month drought outlook has developing drought conditions for Washington, portions of Idaho, Montana. And this would no doubt worsen drought conditions across British Columbia. So let's cross our fingers that does not happen. And I showed this yesterday as well. This was a monthly precipitation outlook for June that was issued yesterday. You can see the below average signal for June here for some of the Pacific Northwest, above average conditions here temperature wise as well. And this is the summer months that was issued yesterday, June, July, August, above average signals across much of the west coast of North America, and below normal precipitation. When we're already so dry this time of year, that's not a good signal. But again, we'll see how that turns out. The good news about that is snow lovers and La Nina lovers here across Pacific Northwest like that signal as we go on in through November, December, January, above average precipitation, below normal temperatures here. So yeah, hopefully we can bring our typical La Nina winters here and bring some lower elevation snowfall and pile up that snow across the higher terrain. We'll see how that trends. And that was December, January, February precipitation outlook as well. But anyway, yeah, we're going to have thunderstorm potential here over the next couple of days. We're going to dive into that a little bit more tomorrow morning. I'll try to get the briefing out a little bit earlier here because we do have the potential across some of the areas here for some thunderstorm development here. And it'll be interesting to watch that next trough on through next week drop down right across the area as well. But anyway, I hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.